All right,
What's up?
here we go, man. Welcome, everybody. Welcome to Medicine, presented by Saint Bartholomew. We were saying right before we got on the air that this thing's real now. Here we go.
Here we are.
So the reason we're calling it medicine is because I think we live in a world where medicine is pharmaceuticals, it's surgery, it's MRIs, it's X-rays, and don't get me wrong, there's a lot of benefit to these things. But medicine, as far as I'm concerned, is something that restores the body back to full health. And I don't think that those things are always, I think they're overdone. And so what we see in our chronic pain clinic is what we call real medicine, diet, sleep, exercise. And I think deep down, we all know that that's what real medicine is. I think we all know that those are the things that restore the body, that bring you back to full health, full strength, no side effects. I mean, these pharmaceutical commercials are crazy, right? All these people dancing around and all the side effects that they're talking about on there. This is it. This is the first episode of it. We'll see it. You'll see it on YouTube. You'll see it on podcasts. We'll clip it up and put it all over the place. Anytime that you want to visit anything that we do, we own the domain saintbartholomew.com. It's Saint spelled out S-A-I-N-T. Bartholomew spelled all the way out. We also own stbmedicine.com, so we'll be able to link that as well. So anytime you want to find the podcast or just learn anything about what we do, that's where you'll be able to make that happen. Today, the very first episode, although this will present as number 2, because the first episode will be, it'll be just like explaining all of this fun stuff. Sure. But we're joined by our director of performance.
Hell yeah.
David Dunlop. And I wanted to kick this episode off by telling this story. So, we have been in business. We have been doing this for a while, and it came time for me to expand and try to bring somebody on and bring some help in, bring some talent. And so I did what everybody does: put some stuff up on Instagram. I put some stuff up on Indeed.com, and the people that I was getting, David. Not good.
Yeah.
And I remember people were, I don't know how common this is these days, but we were doing like video calls. I don't even know how much of this you knew. First thing I would do is I'd get there. If they had like a reasonable resume, I would try to schedule them for a video call. People were like walking down the street while doing the video call.
Yep.
People were in their car, like driving.
Yep.
People would just not show up, which kind of blew me away. And then when you get a couple of people who were like kind of on their game, ready to go, and I guess those are the people that you move forward with. So my next step was to always bring them in for an interview. So we probably had 5 people come in for an interview, and most of them were not awesome. They were not my favorite, like good people, but just there was always something missing. And the one thing that was always driving me crazy, David, you know the story, is that nobody showed up in a suit. Nobody showed up in a suit. And well, look, maybe it's 2025 at the time. You don't need to show up in a suit, but nobody showed up in a suit. So I would just go through the interviews, and this was always in the back of my mind. But as you know, like I'm a big like manifester, right? Like I think about it. I try to create my reality. So I just kept imagining somebody in a suit going through the interview process, me really appreciating, me loving it, and then ultimately hiring them and bringing them on. So I'm in our back room, the big training room in the back, working with one of our clients, and I look over at the front door, and there's somebody there in a suit, and I'm like, I thought this guy was selling me something. So I walked over and I said, hey, like, what's going on? Like, who are you looking for? And this individual had no idea. He just kind of like stuttered and was like, I'm not really looking for anybody. And I'm like, well, what are you here for? And he's like, I'm just here to give out my resume. And I was kind of like, I put back on that. And I said, like, well, what do you do? Who are you? You're like, he goes, I'm a strength and conditioning coach. And in my head, I'm like, get the hell out of here. Like, no way, right? And so I was like excited, like here's this guy in a suit. He's showing initiative. He's coming in. So I was like, I'm busy right now, but can you come back in an hour? He thought for a second. I mean, I'm probably putting you on the spot in a big way there.
Yeah.
He did think for a second, but eventually, like, I saw the wheels turning, and he decided that he wasn't going to come in. And so he comes in an hour later, and David, I was ready to hire you on the spot, man. I mean, I was like, in my head, I was like, oh, pump the brakes.
There we go. That's what the suit does.
The magic of the suit. That's why we got to be looking good for the pod for this stuff. But so, I was ready to hire you on the spot. We took a little bit. We went through the paces. We put you through the tough interview process, which is always a good story. But at the end, like it was a no-brainer, and you have been an absolute delight ever since. I mean, you have helped so many people get better. I tell people all the time that I couldn't have asked for our top coach, for the first person to come on to our team. I literally could not have asked for anybody better. I'm so happy when our clients get to work with you, because I know that they're just going to get not only like quality service, but above and beyond. And that's just what it is that we do. So, the longest intro ever, but David Dunlop, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. I'm super happy to be here.
Yeah, man. So let's kick it off, man. Tell us who you are, man.
Oh God, where do I start? How far back you want me to go?
I mean, well, I guess the question is like, how did you get here? I think your story is interesting. You're much like me. You've come from professional sports or collegiate sports, high level sports, and I find that to be a really unique parallel to have seen like both ends of the spectrum here. So, tell us about how you got into this field. Tell us about your experience prior to being here, and then we'll work through all the fun stuff that we do on a day-to-day basis.
I'll try to hit the highlights. You let me know if there's anything you want to fill in.
Give us it all, man. This is long form, dude.
There we go. All right, hell yeah. So I got into this field. I didn't even think I was going to be in this field originally. I began thinking, I'm going to go to school. I'm going to try to go to business school.
Did you major in business first?
No.
What was your initial?
I was going to start with economics.
Were you declared?
No, not yet. No, I was just at
figuring it out.
Yeah. I was just at the University of Minnesota.
Yeah.
I really wanted to.
Hold on. By the way, should we run a fan poll?
A fan poll? Oh, for Minnesota versus West Virginia. Minnesota's going to win. I'm telling you.
Maybe at the end of the podcast,
the Ghosts have got momentum. All right. Anyway.
The Mountaineers will rally, dude.
Yeah. We'll save that for another episode.
Okay.
So I originally wanted to walk onto the track team at Minnesota, and training up to going to school freshman year. I didn't really know anything about strength and conditioning.
Yeah.
I knew stuff about like muscle hypertrophy, the typical bodybuilder
Every
stuff
guy
that you
in the
hear.
world,
Yeah,
right?
typical gym bro stuff. I worked with that, and I figured, more must be better, right? And so I was sprinting about 5 to 6 days a week, and I didn't get any faster. And that was my first hint as to first, more is not better, but also that there's more to this that I really could be learning about.
Yeah.
So I just was a little bit too slow, and I had this opportunity to join the crew team. Which is a club team, but kind of they sold it to me as, hey, look, you get to compete against varsity teams. Wisconsin was a varsity team, so you get to go head to head with them. You still get to have that high level of competition. You still get to go to, all the big regattas, Dad Vale. I think they also did Head of the Charles, all this stuff. And I took that opportunity freshman year. I ran with it, and I still kept, I would be doing the practice 2-3 hours a day, even as the river got colder. And doing, all my bodybuilding stuff on the side. And then it got to the point
for crew.
Actually,
the bodybuilding stuff?
What surprised me was I ran a 40-yard dash after like 6 months of doing crew.
Okay.
And my 40-yard dash, I kid you not, was a 4.44. I kid you not. And I had three separate people time it.
A 4.4?
A 4.44. I had three separate people time
Stopwatch?
Yeah, stopwatch. So not laser.
Okay.
And keep in mind,
Still, though,
I was much lighter than I am right now.
Okay.
We're talking, I'm like 240 something right now.
Okay.
We're talking, I was like about 180.
Okay.
But trained with crew, went so hard with it, and then it got to the point where I started feeling kind of sick. I went to a party one night with some friends, and my girlfriend and I were dating for a couple months at that point. And I got sick, and I got really sick, and I never get sick. And I started to think, I don't know what's going on. I remember I went in to the doctor at Minnesota, and they told me that, your blood pressure is really high. But keep in mind, I'm like 10, 11% body fat at this point, lean, cardiovascularly very healthy because of rowing. Yeah. And so they thought, you must be stressed out. And I was like, there's like freshman year. Yeah. I'm 18 years old, like there's college stress, but like, a lot of stress. Freshman year.
A lot of people shaking their head out there right now.
But anyway, but keep in mind, this is like a week before COVID.
Sure.
And they weren't really sure what was wrong. And so I just kept feeling really sick to the point where like I had this splitting headache. I couldn't really do anything. Like I couldn't get out of bed. And so I ended up flying home to New York, getting checked out by a doctor here. And they determined that I had mononucleosis. And basically what they told me was, they said, this would not have been nearly as bad for you, but because you have been doing all the training that you have been doing, we suspect based on your blood work that you are immunosuppressed. So I was out, and this coincidentally kind of lined up with the first weeks of COVID. So now I was stuck back in New York because all the quarantines came into place. And basically my whole life was kind of going through a sea change at that point, because the one thing that that was my rock, was working out, right? Now I'm stuck in my house.
We see that all the time too.
Yeah.
How many people come in and they're like, I can't work out. And that was like my stress release. We saw that last week.
Yeah. Yeah. And so, that was kind of a big changing point in my life where at that point I was like, I don't even want to do crew anymore.
Yeah.
But I still want to be involved, and I want to be involved with sports. I want to be involved with, training, and I basically took the opportunity during quarantine to get the very famous baseline certification, NASM CPT.
They have a good program, man.
That's true. That's true.
Of all the programs,
solid.
like they put you through it. They've got what is it, the OPT model they got? Like when I see people's certifications, I think I obviously think the CSCS is the gold standard.
Yeah.
But when I see NASM, I'm like, okay, this guy didn't do nothing.
That's true. That's true. I like their they start with proprioception, and they go into I think it's like proprioception, hypertrophy, strength, all that stuff. But I got that cert, and I used it as kind of my gateway to get into college sports, and so I wanted to work with the football team. And I still reached out to all the sports teams at Minnesota. I emailed every single email I could find at Minnesota, and hockey team didn't respond. The Olympic sports didn't respond.
You got your personal training certification while you were in school?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, freshman year of college. That? Yeah.
Okay.
And out of all the teams, I thought football would be the least likely to respond.
Yeah.
But football actually emailed me the day after.
Yeah.
But I sat for 3 weeks. I didn't see it in my inbox.
No way.
Yeah. And so I freaked out. And by this point, I'd come back by the summer to Minnesota. But I freaked out because I saw it in my inbox. I was like, oh God, I don't know what to do. And so I quickly put on some presentable clothes. I rode a city bike. Or they had it was a different company, but they had city bikes in Minneapolis. I printed out a copy of my resume. I responded to the email as quickly as I could, and I rode as fast as I could over to the Minnesota football facility. And then from there, I had to ask a janitor. I dropped the name. I said, "Hey, I'm here to see so and so." And he's kind of hesitant at first, but he let me in the building because all the doors are locked. You can't just walk in. And then I had to go into another building and talk to. There was an assistant coach outside of the next door to get into where the football facilities were. And I basically said, "Hey, I'm here to see so and so. I'm supposed to deliver this to him. It needs to get to him." And so from there, then he said he kind of gave me a look like, is this guy for real? But then he took it, and then I got a call. I think a couple days later. It was 8 o'clock at night, and they offered me a spot to internship, or to intern at Minnesota.
Sure.
I still had to go through an interview. I still had to do all that stuff for my interview. Actually, I had to. Well, I put on a suit because I figured job interview.
Guy knows how to do it, man.
Yeah,
knows the magic touch.
So I put on a suit, and then I go in. I do the interview, and I remember the head strength coach there telling me, he had a thick Boston accent. He said, "Never come in here wearing a suit again." Apparently it's a thing in strength and conditioning. It's you're not supposed to wear a suit. You're just supposed to wear like your team colors or whatever. But he basically said you're not supposed to wear a suit.
I
to
don't think
job
that's a
interview.
thing in strength
I don't know if
conditioning.
it's a thing, but I still took it as, you know what, I'm still going to wear a suit because
Sure.
it's like one of those things that can be, you know, charitable interpretation and it can help set me apart. But clearly,
I think so.
saved it for this.
Yeah.
You know,
There you go.
helped me there. So start off interning at Minnesota. You know, got into some assistant coaching duties there. Yeah, it was great. Working crazy hours. You know, usually I was up at like 3 a.m. I was the first one in there, turning on the lights in the indoor. I was setting up for the lifts. I was setting up for agility.
How many like lift sessions do they have? Because they're not.
We had 4 a day.
So 4. You had 4 like groups of guys.
Yeah, 4 lift groups a day.
Okay.
We had
And that the whole team mixed into 4?
Yeah, that was the whole team. So we had offense skill, big skill for offense skill, big skill offense, defense, big skill, and then defense skill.
Got it.
And then the specialists were logged with defensive skill.
Got it.
But yeah, we had 4 lifts and then 4 agility sessions that we kind of paired with them.
Sure.
So every team would come in for their 2-hour NCAA allotment. They get their hour of speed first, and then they come into the weight room.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was super cool. You know, I was always exhausted by the end of the day, but still, I loved every bit of it. And it just made me want to be more involved with football from there. It's just probably one of the coolest jobs that I can say I've ever had.
Yeah. And so, I mean, I guess I want to get into that a little bit. I want to know more about what it is like in the football environment. But I think you're doing your story a slight injustice because I think the people should know that you were a football player as well.
That is true. So for reference, when I started coaching at Minnesota, I was 19 years old. Most people start getting into coaching, right after they're done playing, like right after college, like 21.
I guess
22.
like a classic strength coach is just you probably intern. I mean, I don't really know. I'm not the classic guy, but you probably intern either right towards the end of college or right after.
Yeah.
And then you get into it soon later.
Yeah. I just know the classic route, you know, intern, GA, assistant coach.
Oh yeah, for like college for sure. Yeah, definitely.
But I was 19 at the time, and at this point, you know, I'd been obviously working as support, right? I've been coaching these guys up, and I really just still wanted to like do something because I still didn't make the track team, and I really wanted to go D1 in something.
Yeah,
because I was always that guy who like I would do the track team running, and then I would go like I'm hitting my lift afterwards. No one telling me I'm not hitting my lift.
Sure.
And I religiously hit my lift, and so I kind of saw it as, you know what, I've put in the reps. I think I've put in the time and the effort. I would do the extra work wherever I could. And so I was like, I want to go D1 in something. And so eventually, I started poking around. So there's a punter at Minnesota. His name's Mark Crawford. He's from Australia. And so as I would always be walking around the weight room, you know, I'd talk with him, chat with him a little bit.
Yeah.
And I remember I wanted to help out the players better. And so I joined the club rugby team. Because I figured, you know what? I've never played football before. This is the closest thing we have to football that I can like participate in.
You never played football in high school or anything?
My parents forbade it because my grandpa played in college and he had
How did you end up here?
Yeah. Yeah. No, my grandpa had a knee injury, and so he limped for the rest of his life. Keep in mind, this is like the 1930s.
Okay.
And so they forbade it.
Okay.
But I joined the club rugby team and went through practice with them for about 6 weeks. It was fun, you know, getting up 6 a.m., doing all their practice stuff. First scrimmage, I make my first tackle. I had to like chase after a guy. I believe I was on wing. I think it's the right term.
No pads.
No pads. I had to chase after a guy who was like about twice my size.
Okay.
He was running with the ball and I had to tackle him. And so I get him, like I wrangle him down, but then because he's so large, like when he goes down, I'm still holding onto him, but then I like, keep in mind, we're running like 14, 15 miles an hour. And then I fly over him, like full like flight. And I land on the left, it was the left side of my head and my left shoulder. And looking back, I definitely had a mild concussion, like, you know, just looking at symptoms. But I got up and my shoulder just started to hurt like crazy. And so I went to the team doctor or one of the ATs at Minnesota when I was, you know, working that day, and just said, "Oh, you have, you know, AC joint sprain. You're going to be out of contact, you know, 6 to 8 weeks."
Yeah.
And so I said, "Well, what can I do in the meantime if I can't do contact, if I can't practice rugby, that's the closest thing to experiencing football that I could find. What else can I do? Well, all rugby players have to kick. And so I said, well, I'm going to work on my kicking. So I didn't have a bunch of rugby balls, but I had a giant indoor football facility, and I had a bunch of footballs at my disposal.
What a freaking perk, man.
Again, we got 4 lifts a day. It was usually from about 2 to like 6 or 7 p.m. Sure. And so I had a bunch of downtime, like after I was done setting up in the morning. It was usually when I would go work out. And I said, you know what? I'm going to go, I'll mess around with it a little bit. And started punting, so first off, field goal kicking was too hard for me. I couldn't like get the glide with my foot. I couldn't swipe under the ball correctly. I'd never played soccer, so there's no background there. But punting was way easier for me to grasp because it was just me dropping the football and then me kicking it from there. So I started with that, and then coming back to the Australian punter, he saw me doing this, okay, and he said to me, I bet like if you kept doing that, just kept practicing, kept taking it seriously, you could probably get on a team somewhere. Looking back, I was like, bro, had a lot of belief in me because I see some of that old footage, but
everybody needs it.
Yeah, but I appreciate it. And so, during warmups or whatever, I'd still chat up a little bit, but now it'd be about kicking. It'd be about punting. And I'd say, and I remember I read up about Australians coming over to the States who would play Aussie rules football.
Right.
And I basically asked him one day, so what's your background? Is it Aussie rules? Is it rugby? And he just goes, nah, mate, I play cricket. He just,
you have a good Australian accent.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I have a bunch of accents, but we'll save them for another episode.
Yeah.
But once he told me that his background was cricket, it wasn't even Aussie rules. This guy, by the way, this guy's huge. He's like 6'6",
right?
Like, built
big punter.
Yeah. I was like, you know what? Like he didn't even have a background. He's here. He's playing D1 ball.
Yeah.
I just became more encouraged to take my shot with it.
Yeah.
And so eventually I decided, it was like early June. I just decided I was going to quit my position, and I was going to do my best to graduate early and try to get on a football team somewhere. But I was going in with like the mindset of like, this is D1 or bust.
Sure.
So
the same way.
I found a kicking coach in Minnesota. Shout out Chris Hughesby. Shout out Aaron Perez. Trained with them. They basically taught me how to punt. Like all of the burden of me learning how to punt was on them. A couple other coaches, Isaac Parks, John Carney. They're all phenomenal. That community's phenomenal. They taught me how to punt. Took me about, I remember I got my first Division I offer. I started like that July.
You're sending film?
What's up?
You're sending film?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So I got my first Division I offer after like, this is about 6 or 7 months of just training like 2-3 days a week, still doing weights, still doing all that stuff. I got my first Division I offer to LIU in December.
The Sharks
of that year. Yeah.
But close to home.
To be transparent, I remember they were going through a coaching change and the guy was about to leave. He's like, hey, if you want this offer, I can get you in right before the new staff comes in, but the rest is on you. So I ended up taking that. I ended up waiting. Wanted to finish my degree at Minnesota, so I kept going.
Are you declared major now?
Yes. So at this point, I'm a technical writing major.
Technical writing?
Yeah, technical writing.
How do I not know any of this?
Really?
No, I'm a journalism major. You're technical writing. Did you graduate with that?
Yeah, I did.
What world am I living in? How am I finding that out right now?
That's why I've been trying to get my master's in kinesiology.
Oh, man.
I want to get, I have my CSCS, but I want to get, a nice MS.
I'll show you. I got my master's in it.
Yeah.
I have my master's in sport performance and injury prevention.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
There we go.
Okay.
But I graduated early. I basically had FCS offers up to that point. And then my one FBS offer was to Louisiana Tech. And so I graduated in December of 22 and I committed to Louisiana Tech like Christmas Eve.
Yeah.
It was like right up against it. And then ended up going to Louisiana Tech, spent some time there. I'm just going to throw in this little anecdote from Louisiana Tech, which is probably my favorite moment in my entire athletic career was me grinding up to the point of arriving at Louisiana Tech. I literally went on not just on my visit, but on my, I went to the spring game and I was sitting up in the bleachers in the stadium And I was like looking and I was like taking notes on the punters. I was seeing like how much of these guys actually punting. I'm like looking, I went rep for rep, ball for ball, and I was seeing what my competition was. And my favorite moment was because I had no football experience. I was seated last. They brought in 6 pure punters, which for reference, for people who don't know football, most college teams will bring in 2, maybe 3 total. They brought in 6 because they figured some guys are going to drop out.
Sure.
My favorite moment was when I was warming up and seeing that like there was one guy there who was like he was the incumbent starter there, and just seeing the look on his face of like, oh God. Like you can't hide that look. And that lives in my head is like, that was the best reward I think I've ever gotten.
Hell yeah.
Was seeing like my hard work paid off because he was not like, I don't think anyone was, but
very cool.
Just, that was my favorite moment, I gotta say. Stayed at Louisiana Tech for a little while, then ended up transferring over to Portland State. I actually met one of the punters there at a college punting conference, if you can believe that exists. Yeah.
I got conferences for everything.
And so basically linked up with him, kind of told him about the situation I was dealing with at Louisiana Tech. You know, he said he would pass along my film to the offensive coordinator there.
Sure.
And Portland State decided they want to take me. And I basically moved to Portland because this punter, his name's George, phenomenal dude, but also just a crazy good mentor for punting. This guy was punting since he was like, I think 6 years old. And so I just wanted to go. He was 1 year above me. I wanted to learn from him, just learn everything there was about punting from him. And then he would go out and then I would take his spot. And yeah, that was, so my experience at Portland State was phenomenal.
Yeah.
It was super fun. And then after that, trained a little bit in Charlotte with punting. But then eventually, I just kind of wanted to, get back into strength and conditioning. And I also think that just, seeing with, NFL prospects, I'm sure most athletes go through, I was like, okay, like if I really want to do this, it's going to be like my full-time job. And I love sport, but I would always tell my coaches that it was like, I feel like I need a competitive outlet. Hunting just happens to be that competitive outlet.
I got one for you.
Okay.
You know what I'm going to say.
What are you going to say?
High rocks.
Oh, bro.
One day.
This guy's been trying to get me to do a high rocks for months.
We're going to clip this. All right. High rocks. He's going to do it. Maybe not this June, but next year we're going to get you. We're going to become so deeply embedded in that organization that we're going to get you for it. That's your competitive outlet. It's the same for me, man. That's why I started it.
Fair enough. We got to be partners in the high rocks then.
I will absolutely do doubles with you.
All right, there we go.
I'll absolutely do it.
Okay. I'll consider it.
Look in the camera and tell him you'll consider it.
I'll consider it. But yeah, wanted to get back into strength and conditioning.
Yeah.
So ended up getting a nice fresh CSCS.
Yeah.
Then also renewed my CPT. This time I got the NISCA CPT. Yeah. So then I wanted to get back in.
Yeah.
And I talked with, this is right around the time before I started working with you. I talked with Manhattan University, which is up in the Bronx, and then Seton Hall. And I remember I went in for my interview for Seton Hall the same day I came in to see you. So I went in that morning. I took the train out to Jersey. I had my suit on. I had my little briefcase with my resume. And so I go in, I do the interview, it's a chill thing. And then they say, okay, cool. Only thing is, well, look, we're not gonna be able to bring you in until September, what was like the end of March, beginning of April. So we just don't really need anybody until the school year begins. So, if you can figure out something for the next few months, then we'll just see you in September.
Yeah.
And so I kind of left it at that. I was like, okay, well, I got to find something.
Right.
And so I just started looking up gyms. Started looking up gyms all in Manhattan. And so first on the way back, I hit up a gym in Union Square. I remember I was waiting to meet the guy for like 20 minutes, and he just never showed up. And so I said, okay, you know what? If it, just something in my head said, I need to find a place that's closer to where I live.
Yeah.
And so I started looking. And what came up actually was TS Fitness.
That's right. Shout out TS Fitness.
Yeah, shout out TS Fitness. Shout out Noam.
We'll clip it up for him.
Yeah. And so I walk over.
Right.
I go up, but it says on the Google thing, it says floors 2 and 4.
Yeah.
And so I start walking up the stairs and I reach floor 2. and I see right on the sign, because this is before Saint Bartholomew.
Yeah.
Your clinic was called Athletic Health.
That's right.
And so I see on the door, I see it says Athletic Health, and I'm like, Athletic Health. Well, kind of sounds like it's up my alley. All right, I'll walk in. And then there you go. Your story picks up from there.
There it is.
So that's kind of how I got to working here. And honestly, I am very glad I did, not just because of your mentorship, but because of the fact that I feel like there were many gaps in just my experience in terms of I work with athletes mainly, and just having to come up with ways to be a better coach, to talk to someone who's maybe never even touched a weight in their life. And they're coming in with back pain, they're coming in with neck pain. And I have to not only get them out of pain, but I have to teach them how to work out too. Like I have to teach them how to move properly, turn on a right muscle, turn off the wrong one. And so that for me over the past year has just been probably one of the biggest, what would you call it? Coaching evolutions that I think, I've gone through. And just getting to meet all sorts of people. As you kind of mentioned before, many athletes are like kind of there's like a wondrous like aloofness about them. Where they're some people are really locked in on their sport, but then usually the best of the best are almost they're kind of just having a good time. They just have this insane talent. And you could just tell them to do, hey, I need you to do this sprint, get down and go. And they do it. I don't really need to change much on their technique, but with someone who's doesn't move well, it's been just probably one of the most rewarding challenges I've ever faced in terms of just being able to actually grow in terms of my coaching ability.
I love it, man. I mean, I think it's absolutely true. I've watched you evolve and change things, and we've put our heads together on so many things. I guess what I'm curious of, and I think would be interesting, is obviously, and we'll touch on this, like having worked in sport, but working in our setting and seeing such a wide range of people. I mean, we'll see everywhere, anyone from, I think we've got maybe an 80-year-old client who's really getting back into it, all the way up to an NFL, literally a current NFL linebacker. And so, what has been your experience working in this setting?
When you say this setting, you mean sports, or do you mean?
No, I mean our setting. So Saint Bartholomew's, chronic pain, chronic health conditions. What do you notice? What do you see? What stands out to you?
The big thing that stands out to me is, I want to say 1 out of every 3 people who come into our clinic are the type of people who they've gone to every physical therapist. They've gone to every doctor. They've gone to every place. They've gotten all the scans. Sometimes they bring in a bunch of documents like, here, take a look. Tell us what you think. 1 out of every 3, that's a real case. And we dive deep into that. We're looking at it. We're asking other clinicians about it. We're trying to figure out the solution. And those are the ones where we like to joke, like they keep us awake at night. But then 2 out of 3, I want to say they'll come in, typical. We got lower back pain, neck pain, knee pain, right? A lot of those can just be fixed with quality strengthening and conditioning. What would we term it? Blue chip strengthening and conditioning.
I love the term
just teaching people how to train properly. And, make sure we're being on top of our corrective exercises. And oftentimes that will, resolve the issue. And so I feel like it's just a huge, I guess it's made me more, I don't want to say skeptical, but it's made me a little bit.
Yeah, you've said that before. You've said that a lot. Like, we'll have somebody come in. I don't remember if it was this one guy. You'll know who I'm talking about. He came in when I went away for my honeymoon, and you stepped in to work with him while I was gone, and you just had him lifting hard, and it completely cured all of his symptoms. And I remember you just kind of sitting in the office afterwards being like, is this all it is? Like this, I think you said, like, this makes me question every physical therapy clinic out there. Tell us about that. What are those things that you see? What makes you say stuff like that? What are you noticing from that perspective?
Well, for example, one particular instance stands out to me a ton. And that is one of the first clients I took care of was a lady, I believe in her late 30s.
Okay.
She had a job where she was just on her feet for we're talking 12, 14 hours a day.
Yep.
And we went through the entire corrective exercise process. There were some results, Sometimes it would go up and down.
She'd be a good guest.
Oh yeah, she would be a good guest. But eventually we just got her on a hamstring curl. And that was like the biggest revelation in terms of like her symptoms, just giving her consistent, just heavy. We finally found a way.
So dive into that more, because I think that's important, because
Okay.
what we see all the time is like, it ends up, we always think it's going to be more complex.
Yeah.
And like literally on day one, what did I tell you? What was the thing I told you on day one? Literally maybe day one. Do you remember? I know I'm not giving you a bunch of a hint here.
Wait. Abs and hamstrings.
Yeah. I was like, people are going to come in and they're going to give you this, like all of these crazy stories. They're going to tell you their life history. They're going to make it sound like it's so complex.
Yeah.
And almost all of them just need abs and hamstrings to some degree. And this was a big thing. I actually wrote this down as something I wanted to talk about, was because we'll see somebody come in, a seemingly fit person. We had somebody who was a Division I swimmer, big, strong guy. I mean, like visibly muscular. And when we would have him do his hamstring curls, he could do like 5 pounds and he was quivering. This was a similar case, no?
Yeah, for sure.
And so tell us more about that.
Well, the big thing that I kind of stuck to my guns with was this individual could barely lift, like, so generally my philosophy is I start to look at, obviously we're big on abs and hamstrings, right? Yeah. But I'll look at, can this person squat properly? Can this person hinge properly? Can this person push properly? Can this person pull properly? And I don't just look at that just from terms of like, oh, it's a baseline strength test.
Yeah.
But also, can they connect with their muscles?
Yeah.
You would be surprised how many people, probably one of the biggest things I've learned is most people don't have that good of like a kinesthetic awareness.
Yeah. So I would even love for you to break that down a little bit more, because I think this is where you and I are a lot different. So my background is in like NBA, baseball, and sport in season, where we don't weight lift like that. Whereas you're in football, it's like movement at the highest level. It's strength at the highest level. That's not something I do, which I think complements what I do and our underlying philosophy of the clinic. You do that so well. Dig into that for people who don't know what a push, a pull, a hinge, a squat. Give that context.
Yeah. So a squat is like anything like, a barbell back squat, a goblet squat, split squat. A hinge is anything like a deadlift, an RDL, a Romanian deadlift. A hip thrust. A push, anything like a push up, bench press. Also, we're talking about vertical pushes, like anything overhead, like a shoulder press, a jerk, and then a pull, anything like a pull up, a chin up. It could also be a row, anything that really touches like most of the back musculature.
Yeah. Okay. And then so let me put you right where I interrupted you.
Yeah.
Was on most people you find that most people cannot do these basic movements properly.
Well, the big thing that I found is just, for lack of a better term, is that I feel like a lot of people who come in to see us, just a common trend that I've seen is maybe it's because of their job, maybe it's because of other things going on in their life, but they're experiencing pain just because they've neglected themselves. But then what I see is that just they'll go to like a physical, for example, they'll get a scan. Usually we're talking people above the age of 30. So sometimes, they'll find something, right? But we'll oftentimes look at it and we'll be like, I don't think that's the thing. I don't think that would be causing you pain, right? Maybe it is, but it's causing you pain just because you're not strong where you really should be. And just your body should be in a much better place than it is. And so, what was your question again?
Well, the question is, and this is what's interesting to me, is the fact that I think this is like our big aha, and the thing that we do differently than everybody else. I mean, this is the point to drive home, because what people come in and they bring in all this complexity, this perceived complexity of what's going on. But what we're saying, and I think the beauty of having been at such a high level of sport, is that you see what it takes for someone to extract the most out of the human body, right? To play football at the University of Minnesota, you're not just fit, like your system has to be running at such a high level to be able to perform at that level. So all of the systems of the body are firing on all cylinders. What we see is people whose systems are firing far less than all cylinders. We started recently, we have scores now for our assessments. The highest score that we've seen is a 68 out of 100. And this person was in great shape. We had somebody come in today and score a 16, and they look like a physically fit person. They work out every day. But what they don't understand is what fit is. Like, what does it mean to actually be fit? And so when people come in and they've got all this complexity around their case, and they've gone to the doctor, they've gotten the MRIs, and maybe they have a disc protrusion, or, they've gotten the nerve ablation procedure. I mean, they've gotten, you literally just go right down the line. There's a million of them. But what we're seeing is that if we just bring them back into general fitness, make them strong, make them healthy, improve their movement patterns. Are you sleeping? Are you eating? This is why we're calling it medicine, is because this is what medicine actually is. And so for two strength and conditioning coaches who are out here solving arguably the most difficult, most stubborn chronic pain out there, it's the opposite end of the spectrum. It's not the complex stuff. It's getting you back to becoming exceptionally good at being at the basics. So one of the questions I put down for you, David, was, why do people experience chronic pain? Having been through it, and there's a lot, but like if you're sitting down,
that's still a big thing to unpack. Because,
it's a huge thing
because we can go the route of they just need to be stronger. They need to have more muscle to actually support their body.
Sure.
We can go the route of, we can go into deep into PRI. We can go into asymmetries of the human body.
Yeah.
We can look at, AIC, PEC, right BC. We can talk about the diaphragm. We can talk about all that stuff.
Sure.
And I think sometimes that really does apply. And I think I've seen it work. And then we can also just look at, sometimes we do those things. We have to go a little bit higher.
Well, that's on my list if you want to go there.
That's your thing. I try to stick to the physical realm, and then when we need to go,
so
in the
go
nervous
there,
system,
right? So what he's referring to is the brain, right?
Yeah.
And so, if this is a first time listener, watcher, and likely is since this is episode number 2.
Yeah.
We have 4 categories that we believe contribute significantly to pain: posture and breathing, strength, energy production, and central nervous system regulation, right? So our philosophy is pretty simple, right? You've got the ribs and the pelvis, and we need them to be perfectly stacked on top of each other. It's a little more complex than that, but that's what we need. Great movement is that, right? Your ability to maintain that, okay? The next level is, okay, like if you're playing rugby and I shoulder check you, do you have the strength to maintain that, right? So are you strong enough in your body to maintain that perfect stack? Okay. The next level is can you do it for long enough? One of the common pathways, like benchmarks that we see, is that somebody they're like, okay, I'm getting better, but like it only lasts until 2 p.m. Well, that's just a different type of training. Right now, we've got to produce long sustaining energy in this person so that you can hold that stack all day long. Right. The final component of it is the nervous system. And it's the hardest one for us to deal with. It's the hardest one for us to work with, but it's so real. And so what we see is that for a variety of reasons, somebody's brain, their mind, the way that their personality type, and we think that there's 3 personality types of chronic pain that we see. Everybody we come in fits into one of these 3 buckets. And it's, we don't see people outside of those buckets, right? And that's an episode for another day. But what we see is that it works people into this persistent fight or flight state. And as long as you're in a fight or flight state, the body's response is to stiffen the body. It's to turn off unnecessary functions and to extend the ribs and the pelvis. So now the pelvis dumps into anterior tilt, the ribs open up into an external rotation, and now we lose those great mechanics. And the brain operates as the gatekeeper to performance and gatekeeper to health and gatekeeper to chronic pain. And if you don't downregulate it, if you don't shut it off, you never have access to restoring those great mechanics. So those exercise, the chronic or the corrective exercises that we and the physical therapists and the acupuncturists and the chiropractors and the doctors and everybody's prescribing, they're useless until you can break through this gatekeeper of this brain and turn off this central nervous system and the sympathetic flight and that fight or flight. Like all of those things need to go away in order for you to do that. That's my big revelation, my why in this field. But we are seeing that, and we see that every week, every day. We're dealing with it earlier this morning. And so I'm curious, and I've studied the brain for many years, for somebody who's come from this world in a different angle, how has that problem, how has the nervous system presented itself to you? How do you view it as it stands right now?
I personally was always a little bit skeptical
Sure.
until I've seen it actually make a change for people.
Talk about it. What have you seen?
Well, the biggest thing that I feel like we can talk about is we have we had one client. This is probably our poster child story.
Yep.
Who was coming in with neck pain.
Yep.
And struggling to get better, would do the correctives, and then only when we gave him a book. It was a Dr. John Sarno book, Healing Back Pain. And that actually talks about exactly what we were talking about in terms of the body just won't let go until you kind of address. There's like something. It depends on the person, but it can be something stress related. It could be something trauma related. It could be just something completely unrelated to the symptom itself. And because you're on that neural pattern in terms of if you have the same routine, you're going throughout your day, and somewhere along that routine, the pain signal is on there. And it's and really, I feel like what we're doing is not just using that book and using the framework there, but creating our own framework in terms of just getting people over to putting them on a new action potential course.
Yeah, I love that. You got it. The neural networks, man. I mean, it's such an important topic to discuss, and it's one of these things that it's the thing I care about the most. Especially here in New York City, this whole city runs on fight or flight. The city was built on fight or flight, and I agree that it's difficult to address. It's difficult to address, and I've always found it to be somewhat disrespectful to basically say to somebody that the pain is in your head. And so I was very resistant and reluctant to have that conversation with anybody when I was first getting into this. But what happened over and over again, and these stories will come out over time, but I would wait until the end of the program and then be like, hey, by the way, like there's this other entire belief system that I have that I think is getting in the way, but I was just reluctant and nervous really to bring it to you. And he was one of these guys that we waited to the end, and then we did this trial run with him, and it worked. It worked, and it was and you gotta remember, these are people who are desperate. I mean, we've got people who are in the worst levels of pain, and it was not uncommon for me to try this, and then try it with somebody else, and then they would be in tears in my office. And it just got to the point where it happened so many times, and it was such a profound impact that I felt that it was unethical for me to not bring it to the people. And so as the process stands, and of course it's going to evolve, but right now when you come in, everybody goes through this process. It's a 7-day cycle. And the idea is to get you to build neural architecture, as David was referencing, build neural architecture under your own terms, the way you want it to run, the way you want your brain to run, as opposed to the other neural architecture where the pain signal is already deeply embedded and highly myelinated into the neural networks. And again, that's something for another day, but we just watch it happen so many times. The other thing is it's kind of hard to find it early on, right? Because some people it's hey, you're just weak.
Well, that's kind of where I go in terms of, obviously from a PRI standpoint, we're looking at abs and hamstrings, but that's why immediately I go to okay, I'm gonna when we give someone the corrective exercises, and then they're not working, or if we give someone they're strong and they're looking good and they're moving well, and then they're still experiencing the symptoms, then I know we've gotten all the lowest hanging fruit, and then I can say, okay, I think we might be dealing with a little something else here. And what's interesting is how many times that we've done that and we've said, oh my God, I think we got it. Yeah. And there'll be something that just comes out. We've had people confess to us in our office that they're going through a divorce, that they have some crazy exam coming up, or that they're going through a really stressful time in terms of their schooling or their work. And not to say that necessarily is the thing, but it certainly helps us. It helps us get on, not just give us the information that we're looking for in terms of helping them get better, but also just getting them on board to see that, hey, this is something which can affect stress, trauma, these things, in your brain can affect the way your body is feeling.
Yeah.
And I think in many cases, I think those are the types of people that we see the most success with, is working with them on just building that new neural architecture.
Yeah, man.
I like that term.
Yeah, that's good, right?
Yeah.
You just tell the story enough times, you just learn to, it just comes out at this point. All right. So what I think really kind of the last thing to tie a bow on who you are and what you've done is, and I do think that this is an important thing to bring up, and you've obviously had the experience to back it up. When I worked in the NBA, like they almost operate with a different branch of medicine. If somebody gets hurt, there's like a team that comes together, and they've got all the different resources to do that. The other interesting thing about it is that at these high levels of sports, there's no worry about client retention, right? Like at their doctor's office, your PT's office, like there's somebody in there who's like crunching the numbers and wondering like what the lifetime value of each individual is. And so when we built this clinic, we wanted to not be like that. We wanted to operate under this professional sports world where the only mission was to get you healthy and feeling good and back on the court and back onto whatever it is that you were doing as quick as humanly possible. And then at the end, it's done. Like you don't come back. That's the goal. And so in pro sports and in high level collegiate sports, like that's what's occurring. And again, the only mission is not, how many dollars is this person going to spend with us. We don't have to worry about lead generation at that level. They're coming in, but the team comes together. There's multifaceted. There's all sorts of different people and specialists that are working at you and hitting you from each angle. And then on the complete opposite side is for the everyday person. They are going to the gym. They're coming up with a workout they found on Instagram or YouTube or an influencer of some sort. Their diet is what their diet is. Mental skills is not really part of the equation. Sometimes is, but it looks a little different. Maybe you get patchwork of systems. But I guess what I really want to know is what in your world, what in your view, what is the difference? What is the difference between somebody who is taking care of their body at that level versus, an accountant, somebody who is, working a 9 to 5 at an office in a cubicle? What don't they see?
They make it a priority. Because at the end of the day, no one is going to look more after your health than you. And that applies not just to the athlete, that applies to anyone in any occupation. You must be the one that gives the most bleeps, whatever, the most fucks about your health.
Yeah.
And I think what we do really well is we provide a great, phenomenal support system for people who have kind of given up on the traditional healthcare network. But even then, right? We can bring a horse to water, but we can't make it drink. And I think one of the reasons that we have success with so many of our clients is that they're motivated. They want to get better.
That is true.
And so it's way easier to coach somebody and to help them when they're more motivated than anyone else to get themselves better. And we're just here to show them the way.
Yeah.
But yeah, they make it a priority, whether it's their sport, their mobility, their strength, whatever they need to work on, they're making it a priority. And just because you're not a D1 athlete, just because you're not a pro level athlete, you got to make your own health a priority.
I'll say this too, and I know what people are going to say out there, and I understand and respect it. Like they're going to say that we don't have time, I have kids, I have work, I have all these responsibilities, and that's understandable. However, it doesn't change the reality, right? Like there's requirements. There's a minimum requirement to owning a healthy human body. Like that, there's upkeep to it, right? And so what I do think that maybe some folks might see is they'll say, I'm not trying to be a professional athlete. I'm not trying to play Big Ten football. And I agree with that, right? But you don't necessarily need to get to that level to be pain free. Like you can be way before that, before you're pain free. But again, there's like a minimum passing score. Like you have to do certain things, and the older you get, the harder things fall apart. And I think that's why people end up there for sure. Anything else to add on that?
Or something else, it might come back to me.
Okay. All right. So for this final segment, Ari, how we doing on time? We're mint. I appreciate it. All good. Okay, so this is perfect then. So what we'll do here is I'm gonna run down. We'll do this stuff we're gonna clip for social.
Oh, we're gonna do rapid fire.
We're gonna do rapid.
Hell yeah, rapid fire.
It's not really rapid
All right.
fire. It's just really just kind of some clippable things.
Okay.
So just repeat the question after I say it to you, so that when we're clipping it, it's just like, these are the blah 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 blah.
I got you.
Okay. So we're gonna go. These are the top 3 exercises. Okay, that's what this is the name of the segment, the top 3 exercises. All right, David Dunlop, what are the top 3 exercises for lower back pain?
Squat, oblique crunch, pile off.
Pile off press, I love it. Top 3 exercises. Oh, remember, say it again. You got to do it. You have to say what it is.
I have to say, like, these are the top 3.
Yeah.
These are the top 3 exercises for These are the top 3 exercises for healing your lower back pain.
Now tell me what they are.
Squat, oblique crunch, pile off press.
Okay. Why?
Because you can actually load up the core heavy and you can get a good stimulus on the lower body.
Boom. Okay. What are the top 3 exercises for neck pain? Your favorite.
Oblique crunch.
Okay. Nope. Start it over. What is the, you
I
gotta say it.
Okay.
For the gram, man.
Yeah,
for the gram.
I got you.
This is the world we're living in.
These are the top 3 exercises for getting rid of your neck pain. Oblique crunch, rear delt isometrics, the official term, mid to lower trapezius isometrics.
Okay.
Another one that I think really does help with neck pain. I think we got to throw in a hanging lat stretch.
Okay.
I think that deserves to be in there.
I love
Top
it.
3. Yeah.
Hanging lat stretch. Okay. Top 3 exercises for knee pain.
I think you need 3.
Okay.
No, you know what? No. Okay, I can name 3, but really,
Tell us what we need. If we don't need 3.
This is the top exercise for getting rid of your knee pain. Spanish squat isometrics.
Guy loves the Spanish squat.
I do love my Spanish squat isometrics.
Guy loves the Spanish squat. All right, cool. Top 3 exercises, or maybe less, maybe more, for shoulder pain.
Okay. My real take on shoulder pain is you need stronger shoulders. The vast majority of people just need stronger shoulders. The sooner I can get you, even if we have to have someone do manual releases, have them get in the right position where we can get their shoulder mobile enough, the biggest thing that will fix shoulder pain is just getting your shoulder stronger. A strong shoulder is going to hurt way less than a shoulder that isn't touched.
Sure.
Most people don't even touch their shoulders in the gym.
Love it. Okay, last question. So I think one of the hardest things, one of the things I like, I do not like when this happens, but I'll be at like a family party or something like that, and somebody will ask me like, what do I do? And I'll say I'm a chronic pain specialist. And inevitably somebody at the table has chronic pain.
Yep.
And then they're going to ask you how to get rid of it. And I don't like it because most people are in that moment looking for like a little trick or a little exercise. And what we do is we make people work hard. We get them stronger. We get them more fit. Like, it's difficult. So if you're having that conversation, you're at a barbecue over the summer, and someone says, I've got chronic pain, XYZ, what's your elevator pitch to that person?
I'll train you like a pro athlete and you're going to be feeling better in a few months.
Cut it. All good. David, thank you for being guest number 1. Thank you for being our heart and soul of our clinic, man. Thank you for helping so many people. And what David won't tell you in this is how far above and beyond that he will actually go. And whatever I say here cannot do justice to how far above and beyond you will and have already gone. So for the folks out there, you'll just have to see it for yourself. David, thanks so much, brother.